caught in the crossfire. It's caught in the
Riddler's asking for you.
Riddler's latest. It's all about the Waynes.
Maybe this is all coming to an end.
What is?
The Batman.
The Batman.
What's up, guys? Lance the Obscure Movie Guy coming to you with another fun-filled, fact-filled video, and today we're talking all things Batman. Got my shirt, got my cup, went and saw the movie, gonna do a movie review on the Batman, and it was amazing. 3-hour-long movie, so we'll start with the runtime. Yes, it is a 3-hour movie. Actually, it's 2 hours and 56 minutes, 2 hours and 55, depending on what you look at. But it doesn't feel like a 3-hour movie in any capacity. It moves along at a relatively good pace, and even at its slow parts, it doesn't even feel that slow. It's more like a slow burn, like putting a cigarette out on your forearm. It feels so good. No, really, it doesn't. Don't do that. But it is a slow burn, even in its slow parts. It keeps you entertained and intrigued enough in it that at no point does it actually feel like a 3-hour movie. Now, towards the end, it does get to a certain part where the climax, if you will, doesn't necessarily drag on, but the movie, you get to a point where you see where the movie could have ended, and it didn't, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The ending of the movie is actually a little bit of a foreshadowing into the future and a forthcoming of Batman the hero versus Batman the vigilante. And we'll dive into that in a little bit. But it is a 3-hour runtime. Doesn't feel like it, though. The cast. Let's get that out of the way, because that's been a lot of talk since, well, this movie was supposed to come out a couple years ago, actually, at this point, but because of COVID, it never did. But when Robert Pattinson was picked to be Batman, I had my reservations. I've never been a huge Robert Pattinson fan, mostly because of Twilight, and that's a crap series of movies and books and blah. But Robert Pattinson as an actor is actually a very, very good actor. And he's done a lot of other things beyond Twilight to try and separate himself from Twilight to show that he can act. But I still had my reservations. He didn't strike me as a Batman-type guy, and I didn't want to fall into another Val Kilmer-type situation where it seemed like a good idea on paper, but it wasn't executed very well. And the actor himself, Val Kilmer at the time, did not enjoy doing the part. Now, I don't know if Robert Pattinson liked doing Batman or being Batman, but he does a really, really good Batman. So the beauty of him being the Batman and the way the movie is shot is that it skips all of the previous kind of bull crap. Every time there seems to be a Batman movie, we've seen it with Michael Keaton, we saw it with Christian Bale, we saw it with the Gotham TV series. We always have to kick things off with the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne. And that story is played into this movie, but the movie starts with, you already know that Thomas and Martha are dead. You already know that they've been murdered. The director gave you the benefit of the doubt that you already know why Batman became Batman. So it's kind of nice that it skips that bullcrap. We enter the movie. Robert Pattinson is Batman, but he's a very young Batman. He's still a relatively young Bruce Wayne. He's only been Batman. This is basically, based on the timelines, he's only been doing it for a couple years, basically like in his second year of being the Batman. And it skips all of the previous crap leading up to that, which was kind of nice. So it skips all that nonsense. You dive in, you know who Batman is, you know why he's Batman, and then we come face to face with the Riddler. In the opening scene, the Riddler, played by Dano, incredible job as the Riddler, just absolutely incredible. the look, the talk, even outside of the costume, when he's able to act freely and not be so tight, and there's reasons for that. But Paul Dano did an amazing job, and he's an amazing actor. If you don't know who he is, some of you would probably recognize him best, my generation, probably from The Girl Next Door. He's a goofy kid with the glasses and the long hair. If anybody watched 2004's Taking Lives with Angelina Jolie, he's only got a little bit of a part in that movie in the beginning of the movie. But I think it was that part that made Matt Reeves sit back and be like, that guy's creepy as shit. He would make a good Riddler in this case. The part that he had in Taking Lives was only a few minutes long. Basically, to sum it up, he kicks the guy into oncoming traffic and kills him, and then smiles about it. Very, very, very eerie. Just creepy in all regards. So Paul Dano's a really good actor. My generation probably know him best from that. He has gone on to done other things. He does do a lot of independent stuff. He does do a lot of theater stuff. But an incredible actor. And him as the Riddler was just amazing. The Riddler himself, this was a huge step away from how we normally see the Riddler portrayed. Even through like the Batman TV series, the comics, Batman Forever, Gotham. The Riddler's always been even a little bit more goofy than the Joker. The Joker's a psychopath, and there's no rhyme or reason to why the Joker is the way he is, except for he plays to the beat of his own music. And the Riddler's always been kind of more cartoonish, if you will, even though Joker's a clown. The Riddler's always been more of a cartoonish character. He's always been the guy with the bowler hat, the question marks, the riddles, and this was a huge takeaway, a huge step away from all of that. He still does the jokes, or not the jokes, but he still does the riddles, as you can see in the trailer.
If you are justice, please do not lie. What is the price for your blind eye?
But it's the way his costume is. It's never really explained, but it's kind of foretold that the Riddler is very meticulous in his plan of execution, and his costume goes along with that to not leave any traces of DNA, from the cling wrap on his hair, to the mask on his face, to the cover of his mouth, not to leave any traces of him being where he was. And Paul Dano did an amazing job as the Riddler. Robert Pattinson, as I said, did a really good job as the Batman. And I think the beauty of this movie as well is because it is the Batman, we get very, very little Bruce Wayne, which is really nice because the movie's not about Bruce Wayne, it's about the Batman. So you do get a few instances where Pattinson is Wayne, but there isn't a whole lot of... Again, they go into the movie like you know who Bruce Wayne is. You know he's a billionaire. You know he's got abandonment issues with loss of his parents and death and all that crap. So it's the director and the screenwriter all give you the benefit of the doubt that you already know all this crap about Bruce Wayne and Batman. So we're going to skip all that storytelling and we're going to get right into year 2 of being Batman and what that's like. So you don't get a lot of Bruce Wayne, which is really nice. Jeffery Wright as Detective Gordon, not yet Commissioner. Fantastic job. Everything Jeffery Wright does is pure gold. Guy's an amazing actor. He's got a Tony Award from like 1994. He does theater. He's done Broadway. He's done amazing things on screen. Most people would recognize him, most notably, especially recently, as Felix from the James Bond franchise. He was Valentine from Boardwalk Empire on HBO, if anybody watches that. He was in Hunger Games. He even voiced the dad in The Good Dinosaur for Disney. So Jeffery Wright, everything Jeffery Wright does is amazing. Everything he's been on, every character he's done. He's in Westworld, which is critically acclaimed. So Jeffrey Wright does a lot of good stuff, and this is a perfect Detective Gordon. He does a perfect job. It is like he is the best Gordon that I've seen on screen, hands down. And I like J.K. Simmons and I like Gary Oldman, but Jeffrey Wright is the best. I'm not gonna say the best actor, but he is the best Gordon that I've seen on screen. Really good job. Really enjoyed him doing that. And then, man, Colin Farrell. If you didn't know it was Colin Farrell in the movie, he plays Penguin. I'm telling you, the makeup job on him is just amazing. And his tone, his accent. Colin Farrell did an amazing job as Penguin, and there's even going to be a spin-off series on HBO Max that's going to be centered around the Penguin, so we'll get to see more of Colin Farrell, and really good job for him. So all of the key players in the movie did superb jobs. This movie is just, even if you're not a superhero film person, don't really care about comics, this movie is not a comic book movie in any fashion. This is a psychological thriller with a guy that just happens to be the Batman. You know, there's no goofy takeaways from this movie at all. And there's, you know, John Turturro is in it. He did a really good job as well. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Selena Kyle, again, amazing job. But everything about this movie, man, this movie, it's probably one of the best movies I've seen in a really long time. It screams Oscars. It should get an Oscar for Best Actor for Paul Dano, Best Adaptive Screenplay, Best Makeup. I mean, Colin Farrell's the Penguin. That is a damn good job they did on him. Unbelievable. So the movie in and of itself, again, it's a 3-hour movie. It doesn't feel like a 3-hour movie. It skips a lot of the predecessing bullcrap about, you know, Bruce Wayne and Batman's backstory. You don't get much of a backstory. I don't want to say you don't get much of a backstory. You actually do get, you know, Thomas Wayne's death does play a part in the movie, but that's revealed into the movie. And I also like the way that they did that, because it's not the traditional Thomas. So the Thomas and Martha Wayne, here the traditional story is they were leaving the theater, walking through an alley, got mugged, got shot and killed, and, you know, she loses her pearls, they both get shot, Bruce is left, you know, with no parents. Wah. This one's played out much differently with a mafia tie-in, with John Turturro's character, Carmine Falcone, and it's actually a much better backstory for the characters, but it's all revealed throughout the course of the film, kind of slowly. Like I said, it's a slow burn, even in its slow parts, but it keeps you enthralled enough that you want to see what's happening. You want to see how this unfolds. You want to see how this all is connected. And amazing job by everybody. And there's not a lot to not like about this movie. Some people have had their reservations with the climax of the movie, but I didn't. I really like this. It's year 2 for the Batman, and it's kind of cool because if you've ever watched anything Batman, you know, he's often referred to as the vigilante, and there's a little bit of a separation within the police department as to whether or not they can actually trust the Batman. Technically, yeah, he's doing right, but he's still breaking the law. You know, we're sworn to uphold the law. You know, it's kind of like a whole Boondock Saints thing, if anybody's ever watched that, which you should, because it is clearly the 3rd greatest movie ever made. But, you know, you've got police officers that don't necessarily trust him yet. They don't appreciate the fact that he's held to a different standard because he is a vigilante. Like, so he can break the law to uphold it, but we can't because we wear a badge. So there's a lot of that in the movie, and towards the end, you know, during the climax of the movie, the city's flooding, people need help. You know, he goes from being vengeance to being the hero that Gotham really needs. He gets put into a different light where the people actually see him not necessarily as a vigilante, but actually as a hero. And that's kind of cool how that plays out. And that, if they explore that going into a sequel, year 3, year 4, year 8 down the road, whatever, it'll be interesting to see how he's perceived as a hero versus a vigilante. So I think that was pretty cool, because you don't necessarily see that a lot with some of the Batman stuff. He's always regarded, the Dark Knight trilogy kind of touched on that with the whole Dark Knight, White Knight, with Harry Dent. But it's kind of cool to see him be the hero and be recognized as the hero of the film versus a vigilante. It's a little bit of a different take. The one thing I was not a huge fan of, honestly, at the end there is and we've got to talk about it. So, at the end there is a 1 minute and 30 seconds of like a cameo by the Joker, who is played by a guy named Barry Keoghan. I don't really know a whole lot about Barry Keoghan. Apparently he's a very good actor. He was in Dunkirk. He's done some other things. He's a young guy. But that scene, Riddler's in Arkham, Joker's in the cell next to him. I'm not trying to spoil anything for anybody, but they have a little bit of a conversation. I was not impressed. I was not impressed with the tone, the inflection of his voice, the look, and I kind of let it slide. I was like, well, it's only a minute, it's only really a cameo. We didn't really, you don't know what you're really going to get with something like that. Then yesterday, Matt Reeves releases the deleted scene between the Joker and the Batman that was cut from the movie, which is about 5 minutes long. I stand by my previous statement. I am not a fan of this Joker. What I will say is I'm a fan of the look of the Joker because it does fit the dark tone and context of the movie. This is clearly a Joker who cosmetically is very scarred from falling into a vat of acid. He is completely scarred, burned, but it's not like Heath Ledger's Joker, where he got the scars on his face and you don't really know how they got there because he changes his story every time. It's not like Jack Nicholson's Joker, where he did fall into a vat of acid and then tried to have like plastic surgery, like corrective plastic surgery, to try and fix his face, and it still kind of came out, all grins. So I'm a huge fan of the Joker. If anybody knows me, they know I love the Joker. I love Batman, but the Joker is my go-to. He's my all-time favorite comic book character from any genre, DC, Marvel, variant. I can't remember the other one. But he's like my favorite. And I respect all the Jokers, because it's a very hard character to play, and I'm still open to Barry Keoghan being the Joker, but I don't know that he could. Granted, it's only one scene. It's only one deleted scene that they showed. They released online yesterday, but I wasn't impressed. I'm not impressed with the tone of his voice, with the inflections. I know he's supposed to be a little darker, a little bit more gruesome. I know he's, kind of restricted in his movements, because technically when Batman goes to see him, he's seeing him in Arkham Asylum, for those that don't follow Batman. So he's kind of chained up, but there's just something missing there for me. There's just something there missing for me. And a lot of people liked it, and I think a lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon. I think a lot of people like the idea of the Joker, rather than this specific Joker. I think everybody wants to see another Joker, simply because we were duped. We were duped really bad with the Suicide Squad and Jared Leto. And Jared Leto gets a lot of crap for that, which I don't think is fair. I don't think Jared Leto got a fair shot at being the Joker. But that's a whole nother video for another time. But this Joker, I'm not sold on. Now, there are talks of doing a sequel. No talks on which way that would go. So, to to touch on the Joker scene a little bit, one of the ideas that's floating around for the sequel is to be Batman Year One, which would reflect on his first year as being Batman, where he does come face to face with the Joker and supposedly capture him, and that's why the Joker ends up in Arkham Asylum. One of the lines in the deleted scene is that Joker says it's almost our anniversary, meaning it's the anniversary of when Batman caught Joker and put him away. That's one of the ways they could go. Kind of be like a prequel sequel type thing. So Batman Year One. There's obviously the talks of the Penguin having its TV series on HBO Max, kind of playing into the whole Matt Reeves Batman universe, which would be kind of nice. I would like to see the sequel go in a completely different direction and pick a villain that we haven't really seen on the big screen. We've seen Scarecrow, we've seen Riddler, we've seen Joker, and it's kind of hard, like, because of the way because of the dark tone of the film, it would be kind of hard to. Some of the other Batman villains would be kind of hard to put into that type of universe. So I don't really see like a Mr. Freeze working out, even though the only Mr. Freeze we've ever had was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that was pretty awful. Nicolas Cage has stepped forward, saying that he would like to play Egghead, which is another crazy villain, not necessarily with any like crazy superpowers or anything like that, but like a Mr. Freeze wouldn't fit in there. You could do Scarecrow, but it's already kind of been done, and it was done really well with Christopher Nolan's trilogy. Me personally, I would like to see Professor Pig, which sounds stupid. The name does sound stupid, I will give you that. But if anybody's ever read any of the Batman comics, Professor Pig would fit perfectly into this Matt Reeves universe. Again, the guy's a psychopath, but he wears a, it's not like a pig mask, it's like a pig's head, like an actual like pig head. Like, not his head's a pig, but the mask he wears is a pig's head. He's not like Man Bear Pig from South Park. But he's like, he's a serial killer with the intent of trying to perfect humans with grotesque plastic surgeries and create what's often referred to as his dolls. So it would be a good tone for the type of movie set forth by the Batman. So Professor Pig would be my pick for something like that. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Lots of time left before they come up with an official announcement for a sequel and which direction it might go. But the takeaway, it's definitely a good movie. Even if you're not into comic book or superhero movies, this does not play out like one in any way, shape, or form. It is a psychological thriller through and through. You could take the Batman out of the costume and just simply make him another detective on the case, and the movie is just as good. It's incredible. It's really well written, and again, all the key actors did amazing jobs throughout the course of the movie. Everybody did a really good job. Unbelievable direction by Matt Reeves. Unbelievable screenplay. Again, the makeup, Colin Farrell's makeup, that is a huge takeaway for me. Like, you would never know. I don't know what they did to him in the makeup chair and how long he had to sit there for it, but unbelievable. Like I said, the only thing I'm not sold on is the Joker, quote unquote. Even after the deleted scene was released yesterday, still not buying it. But yeah, that's my takeaway. I would definitely go see this movie again. I look forward to it coming out on HBO Max. I'm going to make my wife sit through it. And it's not for kids. It's not for kids. Just so you know, the first scene is the Riddler like beating somebody to death. It's not for kids. But yeah, that's my takeaway on the Batman. If I had to give it a rating, man, that's I don't know what the perfect movie would be, but this one's pretty damn close. I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. Or in the case of my good buddies at the Mustache and the Beard, I would give it 4.5 gray geeks out of 5. So that's my take. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, comment to the channel. Let me know what you guys think of the Batman. Did anybody see the Batman? Has anybody watched the deleted scene with the Joker? I'd love to hear your take on that. And I will catch you guys in the next video.